Right now, somewhere in the world, a painting is hanging in a private vault worth more than $100 million. Nobody sees it. It's not for sale. And the man who painted it died broke, alone, and convinced he was a failure. You know his name. You've probably seen his sunflowers on a mug, his starry night on a phone case, his self-portrait staring back at you from a poster in a dorm room somewhere. But here's what nobody tells you. While he was alive, this man sold exactly one painting. One in his entire life. And stick around, because the story of how that one painting turned into a $100 million empire, it's not just about art. It's about a secret nobody talks about, a woman history almost forgot, and a mystery about how he actually died that's still being fought over by historians today. His name was Vincent van Gogh, and what happened to him after he died will make you question everything you think you know about genius, timing, and who actually gets remembered. Let's start with the number, because they don't make sense. In just 10 years, Van Gogh painted over 900 paintings. That's roughly one every 4 days. Some historians think the real number, including drawings, pushes past 2,000 works. He wasn't slow. He wasn't precious about it. He was a machine, obsessively producing art almost every single day of his adult life. And in all that time, he sold one. It happened in 1890, just months before he died. A Belgian painter named Anna Bach bought a piece called The Red Vineyard for 400 francs, about $2,000 today. That's it. That's the entire commercial career of one of the most famous artists who ever lived. Now, here's where it gets a little more complicated, and almost nobody mentions this part. Van Gogh did trade paintings with other artists sometimes. His uncle, who worked as an art dealer, commissioned a few pieces out of pity, more as charity than as belief in the work. But actual money changing hands, someone choosing to pay for his art because they wanted it, that happened exactly once. Think about that. 900 paintings, one sale.
So how did he survive? The answer is his younger brother, Theo. Theo van Gogh worked as an art dealer in Paris, and starting in 1881, he made a quiet agreement with Vincent. He would send him money every month, rent, food, paint, canvas, and in exchange, Vincent would send him the painting. Theo believed in his brother when literally no one else did. Over the next decade, the two of them exchanged more than 600 letters. Vincent poured his soul into them, his ideas about color, his loneliness, his obsession with light. In one of them, he wrote that Theo was with him in spirit, even when they were miles apart. Theo wasn't just his brother, he was his entire audience. But here's the part that gets darker. The same mind that could see color no one else could see was also unraveling. For over a century, doctors have tried to diagnose what was actually wrong with Vincent van Gogh. The list is almost absurd. More than 150 different theories: bipolar disorder, temporal lobe epilepsy, alcohol-induced psychosis, borderline personality disorder. In 2016, the Van Gogh Museum got so serious about solving this mystery that they brought together 35 psychiatrists, neurologists, and historians into one room just to argue about it. They still don't fully agree. What we do know is this. In December of 1888, after a violent argument with fellow painter Paul Gauguin, Vincent cut off part of his own ear. He wrapped it in cloth, walked to a brothel, and handed it to a woman there. The official story says it was a psychotic break. A few historians have even suggested Gauguin, who was skilled with a sword, may have caused the injury himself, and the two men agreed to stay silent about it forever. Nobody knows for certain. What we do know is that a month later, it happened again. By the summer of 1890, Vincent was living in a small town called Auvers-sur-Oise, and in his final 70 days alive, something strange happened. He painted around 70 paintings, almost one a day. It was either the most productive stretch of his life or the final acceleration of a mind that was breaking apart completely. On July 27, 1890, Vincent van Gogh walked out into a wheat field and did not come back the way he left. He staggered into a nearby inn with a bullet wound in his stomach. He climbed the stairs to his room, lay down, and told the people caring for him that he had shot himself. He died 2 days later. His brother Theo was at his side. His last words, according to Theo, were, "The sadness will last forever." For over 100 years, that was the story. Case closed. The tortured genius finally succeeded in ending it. But in 2011, two Pulitzer Prize-winning biographers spent 10 years digging through letters and testimony and came out with a theory that shook the art world. They argued Vincent didn't shoot himself at all. They believe a 16-year-old boy named René Secretan, who along with his friends had spent that summer bullying and mocking the strange painter, accidentally shot him with a malfunctioning revolver during some kind of drunken confrontation. And they believe Vincent, who had spoken openly about wanting to die, simply let the story become suicide to protect the boy. No gun was ever found at the time. No suicide note was ever
ever written. The math of the wound never fully added up. Nobody knows the full truth. What we do know is that 6 months later, Theo died too, at just 33 years old, worn down by grief and illness. Two brothers buried side by side, both gone within a year of each other. And that should have been the end of the story. A failed painter and his loyal brother, both dead, one painting sold between them, forgotten. Except it wasn't, because Theo left behind a 28-year-old widow named Jo. And Jo, that's something almost nobody talks about. Jo Van Gogh Bonger inherited an apartment stacked floor to ceiling with paintings nobody wanted. Hundreds of canvases considered worthless by the art world. Everyone told her to sell them off cheap to established Paris dealers and move on with her life. She refused. Instead, she packed every single one into crates, took them home to the Netherlands, and spent the next 25 years doing something no one expected from a young widow with a baby to raise alone. She studied the art market. She built relationships with critics. She organized exhibition after exhibition, slowly, strategically placing Vincent's work in front of the right people at the right moments. In 1914, she published the letters between the two brothers, giving the world its first real glimpse into the mind behind the paintings. Without Jo, there is a very real chance you would never have heard the name Vincent van Gogh. And it worked. It worked beyond anything either brother could have imagined. Today, Vincent van Gogh's paintings rarely even reach auction. Most trade private, quietly, for sums the public never sees. When they do surface, the numbers stop making sense. Orchard with Cypresses sold for $117 million in 2022. His portrait of the doctor who treated him in his final months once broke the world record for the most expensive painting ever sold at auction. His sunflowers, if they ever came up for sale again, would likely fetch several $100 million. One sale in a lifetime, hundreds of millions after death. And here's the part that should actually unsettle you. It wasn't the paintings that changed. The brushstrokes are exactly the same ones nobody wanted in 1890. What changed was timing, and someone willing to fight for the work after the man himself was gone. Somewhere right now, someone is making something the world isn't ready for yet. Maybe it's sitting in a drawer. Maybe it's already been thrown away. Vincent van Gogh spent his whole life believing he was a failure, and he died without ever knowing he was wrong. If you had to bet, genius ignored or genius rediscovered too late, which one scares you more? Let me know in the comments.